Hi, I'm Ed Stetzer. I am here with Daniel Ott. Good to see you, Daniel, my Twitter friend and blog friend, and on communication staff at Southland Christian Church in Lexington, Kentucky. Great church, a kind of non-denominational independent Christian church. And Daniel, tell me a little bit about how you found out about the trip and what you've had there, kind of nearing the end of it. What's been your experience learning about missions in Europe, in Rome, and here in Marseille? Tell us a little about it.
Well, first got interested in the trip. Been doing trips with high school students to Northern Ireland for the last 3 years for myself. There's been teams going for about 7 years, not in addition to that completely. So that gave me an interest in Europe. I was over here in Rome last March. Just had a few experiences within mostly the Catholic Church, just going in as an observer, and just kind of that heart tug.
Yeah.
Nothing, I don't know, not a whole lot of things to qualify it other than just that feeling through blogs, probably the Mars Hill blog, and Mark Driscoll got hooked up with your blog, which then got me hooked up with Larry and Caleb.
Larry and Caleb from the Upstream Collective.
Yeah.
And that's the upstreamcollective.org, their blog and their website there.
Yes.
Okay.
Started emailing with Larry, and here I am sitting in Marseille with you guys.
Yeah, yeah. And you've been in Rome and then with Marseille. What's been your impression dealing with the church planners, those who are kind of working here, missionaries here? What's been the impression of the work and the people thus far?
It's very different coming from Southland, which is a very attractional church, and that has worked in our context. Coming to a place where programs don't work, and they say they've tried it, and you can't just bring an American team and drop in, a week long or a long-term commitment program. Just doesn't work. So that's kind of a culture shift of realizing that it's the methods that can change, but they're still giving the same truth to people, and they're still trying to be obedient to the Lord. I guess the biggest thing that would stick out from this trip was the French pastor Julian that you interviewed earlier today. He said the biggest barrier is not the language barrier, it's the attitude.
Yeah.
If people come over here with a poor attitude, that's going to kill anything we're trying to do.
Yeah. That was interesting. Spent some time with national pastors Julian and Luigi in Italy as well. Church like yours is it's a big church. You've got thousands and thousands of attendees that attend there. How could a church like Southland or churches like it, different non-denominational churches, other kinds of churches, how can they get involved? Some of the ways you've seen in God's Global Mission in Europe. What were some ways that come to mind?
The thing that's really connected me and some of my friends in Ireland is kind of that personal relationship, not going over there as the Southland entity,
right.
But doing it on a personal,
just going over there as Daniel Ott. Really.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of the approach we may need to pursue, because when you get into the big organization, it's just hard because you have budgets and approvals and fiscal calendar to do all that. So I come out with not so much a long-term partnership idea, but really just get a heart for individual missionaries just on the field and how I can encourage them, and maybe start a dialogue of just being there to support them, to, if they're frustrated, talk to me.
Yeah, sure. How you can partner rather than necessarily how a big church can through its programs and processes, but how individual believers can partner with individual believers here in churches here. That's a different paradigm than what we usually hear in those kinds of partnerships.
Yeah.
So as you look to the future, you've been able to spend some time in two cities, and of course in Ireland as well. What would you say to people watching this video about how they could get involved in some of this kind of work?
I'm asking myself that same question. I don't know if it's bringing short-term teams to just be an asset to the guys that are on the ground here, if it's just literally praying for them and being a support to them when they need someone to talk to. That's a lot of stuff I think I'm going to be figuring out as I process this trip.
Well, the relational component's been key. We've heard that a lot. We're sitting here in a cafe with a toaster behind us, which is kind of symbolic of that relational connectedness that's so necessary. So thanks for modeling that. On this trip you've modeled it, talking to the pastors and to the mission leaders here. Thanks for modeling that. Thanks for encouraging us to do that. Southland Christian Church, Lexington, Kentucky. What's the website?
southlandchristian.org.
And they can also find out more information at the upstreamcollective.org about what's going on in mission partnerships in Europe and elsewhere. You can find out more information there. Thanks for joining us for our short video interview.
Great, guys. Thank you so much. That was good.
Bump it up.